Think about your last birthday. Does it feel 6 months ago or 6 Tuesdays ago? Now picture one summer from childhood. That summer may still contain a whole neighborhood, a hot sidewalk, a scratched bicycle, the exact sound of a screen door. Both periods were built from ordinary 24-hour days. The clocks did not speed up. Something in the way those days were noticed and stored changed. When repeated weeks collapse into one memory, a year can seem to vanish. Keep doing that, and a decade may survive as a surprisingly small collection of scenes. So why does this happen more often as we get older? And can we make a year feel fuller without booking a new country every weekend? Before answering, we have to split the word fast in two. How fast does time feel while you are living it? And how long does that same period seem when you look back? 10 minutes in a pharmacy line can feel longer than dinner with someone you love. That is time as it is being experienced. Attention keeps checking the clock, so every minute announces itself. But ask about last year, and you are doing something else. You are not feeling those minutes again. You are rebuilding the year from whatever changes, emotions, and separate events you can still retrieve. The question about aging is mostly the second question. It is less about a hidden clock running faster, and more about how an entire stretch of life gets compressed after it has happened. You may have heard the neat answer. At 10, 1 year is 10% of your life. At 50, it is only 2%. Each new year is a smaller slice of everything you have lived. The math is tidy, human memory is not. The fraction describes the feeling, but it does not tell us how the brain produces it. It also struggles with a familiar contradiction. Whole years can fly while a single dull afternoon refuses to move. The age pattern is not a smooth downhill line either. In large surveys, adults of different ages often rate the recent week, month, or year similarly. A smaller effect appears when people judge the past decade, then it levels off around midlife. While an event is happening, attention does much of the work. If you're bored, anxious, or waiting without control, you keep noticing time. More checks make the interval feel longer. When your attention is absorbed, the clock receives fewer inspections. Conversation, work, music, even a difficult game can make an hour disappear because you were busy with something other than measuring the hour. A dull meeting can feel endless at 2:15 and leave almost no trace by Friday. Miserable in the moment. Tiny in memory. The same interval has produced two opposite answers. A packed weekend can do the reverse. It vanishes while you are living it, then feels unusually long on Monday because memory has several places to stop. One system asks, how much time am I noticing now? The other asks, how much change can I reconstruct later? Most explanations of aging become confusing when those questions are treated as one. Autobiographical memory is not a video file. It keeps selected scenes, general patterns, emotional peaks, and enough structure to rebuild a usable past. If you take the same commute 200 times, you usually do not keep 200 independent journeys. Memory can store the route as a pattern. The detour, the storm, or the day you missed your stop is more likely to remain separate. This is efficient. It would be a terrible use of a brain to archive every normal Wednesday in high definition. But efficiency has a side effect. When many days share one pattern, the month needs less remembered space. What expands remembered time is not raw busyness. It is differentiation, events with enough change, meaning, or attention to become their own landmarks. Novelty helps, but it is not magic. Move somewhere new, and the first weeks may feel dense. Stay long enough, and the strange streets become your normal route. The memory system learns the pattern and starts compressing again. Early life keeps changing the rules. School years have hard boundaries, bodies change, independence arrives in pieces. Many experiences are first experiences, and choices begin to define who you are. When adults are asked for important autobiographical memories, an unusually large share comes from adolescence and early adulthood, often around ages 15 to 25. Memory researchers call this the reminiscence bump. First experiences are part of it, but not the whole explanation. Identity formation, cultural milestones, brain development, and the way we tell our own life story may all contribute. Stability has real value, a familiar home, practiced work, dependable responsibilities. But when many days share the same structure, memory has fewer reasons to divide one year sharply from the next. And sometimes the important variable is not age at all. People who feel under constant time pressure are more likely to say time is flying, even when age itself predicts little. A crowded calendar can impersonate an aging clock. Your body does contain timing systems. Cells keep daily rhythms. Neural circuits estimate short intervals. Perception even assembles a usable present from information arriving at slightly different times. Those systems matter, but an experiment about judging 2 seconds does not automatically explain why the last 10 years feel short. Seconds, days, and remembered decades are related problems, not interchangeable ones. That is also why do more exciting things is weak advice. Excitement can make a moment race while you live it. Repeated excitement becomes familiar, and a life packed without attention may produce stress, not richer memory. There is no switch that makes time slow down. There is only a more modest possibility, changing what your days give memory to work with. You cannot add hours to a year. You can make it harder for 12 months to collapse into one generic block. Learn something that still requires attention, not because novelty is sacred, but because effort creates change you can notice. The first failed attempt, the first improvement, the day a difficult idea finally behaves. Change one part of a routine on purpose. A different route, a new responsibility, a project with a beginning and an end. The point is not constant stimulation. It is giving similar weeks at least one clear difference. Mark transitions. A birthday, a finished course, the start of winter, even the first quiet evening after a hard month can become a boundary. Memory dates events better when it has landmarks. And pause long enough to register what changed. A 2-sentence note at the end of a week can give memory a handle. Not a complete archive. Just enough to keep 1 week from borrowing the face of every other week. You are balancing 2 goals that do not always agree. Be absorbed enough that a good hour can fly. Build enough distinct moments that the year does not disappear with it. Return to that last birthday. The calendar pages did not run. Many of them simply merged after they passed. Familiar places, repeated tasks, weeks that asked memory to keep the same basic pattern. The goal is not to make every Tuesday unforgettable. That sounds exhausting. It is to give enough Tuesdays their own shape that a year still has chapters when you look back. Clock time does not speed up as you get older. But unless something gives your memory a reason to separate one stretch from the next, life can become very good at compression.